are you, my friends? Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning for those who are in down there. I hope you all have a good day. And now it is time for Spiritual Light because it's 9 p.m. here in Ireland, in the UK, and we are enjoying the full house today. See, our friend Munir, Elsa, Charles, and Silvia are with us today. And today's topic it is the future of humanity according to Spiritism. That's a wonderful topic. Always good to talk about the future, what we are visualizing, and what we think is gonna happen. So much to talk today, a lot to cover today. And meanwhile, let's let our friends here say hi to everyone. So, good evening, Miss Gibbons. How are you?
Oh, hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Nice to be here with you. Such a really nice to be here. I hope everyone it's all right. And we're having a really nice meeting tonight. So join in and enjoy this. And it's really nice to see Munir and Charles and Elsa and you, Stevan. And it's wonderful to be here with you here. So
Thank
let's
you.
have a great meeting.
Thank you, my dear. Good evening, Elsa. How are you?
I am okay, Steven.
I don't know if it's my internet or her internet.
So happy to be here with you all, and I hope we have a wonderful discussion this evening because the future of humanity we have concern. What we are doing to prepare a nice future, not a Silvia Munir. I am so happy to be here with you. Afraid that to be with us later on. My internet is not the best one tonight. Okay.
Okay, thank you. So, our guest today, Munir. How are you, my friend?
Hello, Stefan. I'm very well, thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's a pleasure to be here once again and take part in Spiritual Light, share the studio with Elsa, Charles, Silvia, and yourself, Stefan. Thanks for the invitation.
Good evening. Thank you. So, bonsoir, Charles.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Indeed, good question, isn't it? Because when we see all what's happening around the world nowadays, there are some reasons to be to it's hard to stay optimistic, let's say it so. But there are very good reasons, and we will try to explain you why.
Perfect. Perfect. So, it's great to to kick off this conversation today. And tonight we ask what may be the most expensive question this program, this show, this panel has ever posed. What does Spiritism teach us about the future of humanity itself? Are we on track? Is everything happening according the plan? Or we are getting a detour? So all these are not abstract questions. We live in a time when the future of a human civilization feels genuinely uncertain to many people, not in a distant theoretical sense, but in a felt daily one. Political fragmentation, moral confusion, the acceleration of technology beyond the ethical reflection, the visible strains of a world under profound pressure. Future for many feels less like a promise and more like a threat. And Spiritism has always had something to say about it, not as a dramatic prophecy with dates and catastrophes, but as a teachings, a coherent, detailed, and ultimately optimistic account of the direction in which humanity is moving, why it's moving that way, and what the destination actually looks like. Allan Kardec, written in the written in the 1860s, was already clear that the transformation of human civilization was not a fantasy, but an inevitable consequence of the spiritual laws governing our evolution. The question is not whether humanity will advance, it is what our role is in that advance and how we choose to live in the meantime. So, thank you so much. I hope you understood my point in this brief introduction here. And I want to go to our first question. And since we have Munir with us, allow me to start with Munir. Munir.
Yeah.
So, Munir, Kardec describes a future state of humanity. He calls the era of regeneration. What are its defining characteristics? And in this future inevitable or contingent on human choices?
Okay, thanks for the question, Stephen. I think before we start answering this question directly, I think we have to set some spiritist basis upon which we are going to answer these questions. Just borrowing an example, NASA went, looking for life everywhere else, and then at some point they came back home and started to question themselves: what is life? So the question here is, what is humanity? You see, according to the Spiritist perspective, humanity is not that group of incarnate people here on this planet. Humanity encompasses the whole universe, so visible or invisible. So this is humanity. So when we talk about regeneration, we talk about humanity on this planet. And on this planet, we have part of humanity incarnated now, and three times more around the planet on a spiritual side. Okay, so when we talk about regeneration, we're talking about those in this on this planet here, right? The population of this planet. And also, according to Spiritism, we shouldn't forget that we can migrate, the migration of spirits. Another of the Spiritist premises. Spirits can come and go, right? So the population today, visible and invisible, around the planet, may be one today, but it's slightly different, or perhaps even uh, greatly different from what it is today. So when we evaluate, and I think to me this is the basis to answer questions related to, are we actually making progress? Is humanity moving forwards or backwards? So we have to take it into this equation, all these aspects, right? And yes, when we look at the average, right, moral, intellectual development of those here on this planet, right, we see that the planet will move, of course, its inhabitants, right, will move towards a condition where we will have those living here, incarnated and discarnated, will be with a higher degree of values and less imperfections. So we'll be slightly less selfish, right? We'll be less greedy, and all the vices that actually create the problems that we see today, slightly they will go away. So giving way to a fraternity, to love, as it were. Fraternity is one of the aspects of love in action. And this is a condition that will come into the future. It may take longer, right? It may be faster, this process, but it all depends in the end of the day on those here, including ourselves, right? We are part of this humanity incarnated on this planet. Because then when we talk about regeneration, we should put into context regeneration of this planet. Because there are worlds that are more advanced than ours and others that are less advanced than ours, right? And in this equation, it's very important to see the flow. Those coming in, those getting out. It For a certain moment, right? The ones coming in are less evolved than the average. And the ones going out, leaving the planet, are the ones that have already reached a higher level. It's natural that when we look around, we see trouble. We have the impression we are going backwards. Maybe we are. You see, those at this very moment here, on average, are perhaps a bit less evolved than we were, a few decades ago. But this is a constant flow. And we know there will be a moment when we have to put, because we have a range of spirits here. And then for the planet to actually get into this regeneration era, we will need to take those who are lagging behind to a planet that will be more interesting for their development. Of course, if they are less evolved than the average, they will have to go not as punishment, but as a way to learn what they need to learn on a planet where the conditions are appropriate for the learning. It's like a school class, right? The students may go together for a while, but then there will be a point where you need to, there is a seizure. Those lagging behind have no longer conditions because they are holding back those who have the conditions to move faster towards a better condition. So we need to then split the group, right? And of course, we should work hard to be in the group that is going to be, in these worlds of regeneration, right? Not as a punishment, as I said, not something that we buy in material aspects, but something that we conquer individually.
Great, thank you, Munir. Yeah, it's important for us to understand um, what Kardec meant. So, Charles, do you want to say something?
Yes, I think Munir summarized the point very well. Again, it's not Kardec opinion, it's just what the spirits have told during that period that Kardec summarized in this way. And interestingly, we can see when we look back to the history, similar moves that happened with the Earth. For instance, when we go 15,000 years ago, mankind was still living in caverns, isolated or in small groups. There were no really cities and so on. So all this came of a sudden, or almost, something like 10,000 years ago. So what happened for having this sudden change in the level of evolution of the planet? At the point that some came and were constructing pyramids in Egypt and starting with philosophy in Greece or with religions in India and so on. It is exactly so. The spirits are explaining it through a move exactly of what Munir just described. Some spirits, which were much more advanced than the mankind 15,000 years ago, came to reincarnate on the earth and brought these technologies, this knowledge, these religions, beliefs, and so on, how to organize a city and whatever. And through this, the whole humanity of the earth, through the coming of these spirits which were which had a higher progress than the average on the earth, pushed the earth a little bit up. And something similar will happen. And where, by the way, where did these spirits come from? Imagine spirits, their first incarnation, they are more intelligent. So they came from a planet which is like the Earth today. And then they reincarnated on a planet where humankind was still living in the caverns, So their first incarnations were a little bit difficult for them. But, I mean, through their knowledge and their intelligence, they managed to do and to organize all these changes in a very short time frame of a couple of thousand years only. And if we look a little bit more back, something like 70,000 years ago, you had Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal, basically. And Neanderthal was stronger, so he was dominating since something like 200,000 years ago until 70,000 years ago. And if we believe the studies of and the book of Yuval Harari, there was what he called a cognitive revolution, something like 70,000 years ago. And what happened is that in only 1,000 years, so you see, 1,000 is nothing, it's very small compared with 200,000. Cro-Magnon started to dominate at the point that Neanderthal disappeared. And why? Because he grouped, because there were some first religious belief, joining, maybe some weapons or things like this, which enabled Cro-Magnon to dominate Neanderthal. And we are somehow the result of all these processes 70,000 years ago and 15,000 or 10,000 years ago. And something similar is expected to happen for this new era. And this is a notion which you can see in a lot of different spiritualist movements. The end of the Maya calendar, or the how to say, Aquarius era, and things like this. All this is somehow different ways to express a kind of a same idea, which is intuitively reaching the humankind. So what's very important on this is when we look around us, as I told at the beginning, it's very hard to stay optimistic. But, I mean, the spirits who are governing this planet, they know what they are doing. They know up to where it must still worsen in order to have this change to a better world. And this will come. It may take some centuries still, maybe optimistically some decades, but I think more some centuries, but it will come. And our duty, our job is, let's do whatever we can at our level to contribute to it.
Can I say
Great.
something, Stevan?
Yeah, sure, of course.
That's something that's very important because we are talking about this wonderful philosophy that Spiritism brings us all the knowledge and understanding that we need in our daily lives. So Spiritism does not announce a miraculous future produced without human participants. We are here. It proposes something more demanding: progress as a law, freedom as responsibility, and moral transformation as a task. So the future of humanity begins, therefore, not tomorrow, but within the consciousness of each human being today. We will be tomorrow what we are doing today. That is not a quantum physics, but something more important. That is our action will be our own pathway to evolve. Doesn't matter how long it takes, but humanity needs now, more than now, immediately change for a better position in evolution as a whole. And my paper in the universe, my role, my action will transform others And if each one of us transform ourselves, think about this what we are talking today. Yeah? I forgot to include in our the future of humanity. We can prepare today because if, today is the future for the past, but we are dealing today. And the future will be what we are doing today for the future. Our results, better or but always will be better because we are here to evolve, not to retrograde as a human being. Mm, That's it.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you. I also want to say good evening to Hipólito Rebolo, Ângela Camargo, Marco Davis, Patti 7100. Um, what more? Arena. So thank you for watching us live today. So Mrs. Gibbons, I'm missing your reflections, and I would say the question the we can give to you today, it is more in terms of the third revelation. Yeah? Uh, what does this claim mean for humanity future, and how should we understand it without arrogance? So, when Jesus said the third revelation, what does this claim mean for humanity's future?
Okay, this is a very interesting question, and it's something to think about a lot. The third revelation is that Spiritism is the third revelation, as was revealed by the Spirit. And in the Gospel, according to Spiritism, the spirits have told us that the first was Moses, who brought the laws, and then Jesus, and then Spiritism is the third revelation, and it's in the Gospel according to St. John, in which Jesus said, "If you love me, keep my commandments, and I'll send you the Consoler. Will remind you everything I said and much more." And that's what Spiritism is explaining quite a lot of things that at the time Jesus could not explain because people just were not knowledgeable about spirituality enough at the time. Um, to understand certain of the things he was teaching. Of course, we're not saying that everybody, because within the temples and uh, where the priests were, they had this knowledge. They already had a great knowledge of spirituality and the life to come and all sorts of things. Um, I think this is very important. I think Charles mentioned it before, and also Munir, that into a planet came a lot of exiles from another planet, from the star of Capella, which is in one of the constellations. Um, and they came here because although they were very advanced technologically and in material things, um, morally, some of them were not advanced enough. And I think that's what we're seeing now, reflecting in our earth now, because we have never lived in such an incredible, every day there is a new discovery, new technology. And now, with the artificial intelligence, is something that even 10 years ago we could not even conceive. And we know that most of the scientists and researchers, and I think Munir probably knows much more about this, they're already working on things that we are going to see in practice in about 10, 15 years. They're already thinking ahead of that. And there is this development, but morally, we're very far behind. And I think it is important to notice that not everyone is in the same level. We have different levels, spiritual levels, and we can see that many children, they almost born now, their eyes open, looking around, and there are many spirits more advanced than we are who are being born now into our planet. Those are going to be the teachers, the new engineers, the new politicians that will take this planet forward. And I think Elsa as well mentioned that we are here to progress. And that's one of the things. We are here to progress, to develop. And we have to, not only intellectually, but also morally. And our planet has been going through, I think, this big transformation that the spirit said this, we're passing from a world of atonement to a world of regeneration. And of course, in Genesis, the spirit's expansion, of course, the ones who are holding on to power, to everything that makes them powerful, they are going to fight. And that's what we are seeing around the world. We're seeing the most horrendous wars. We see people being tortured and killed and all kinds of things. I mean, always happened, but now it seems to be, and because the news gets to us now almost immediately, we're seeing terrible things going on around the world. And this is part of it. This is the part of the old world being, um, you know, headed and not wanting to move on, not wanting to allow the others to progress. But everything's changing. Everything must pass, and it will pass. And we are going to go into a world of regeneration. But I think, this is the part of the difficult part, in which we are seeing the most horrible things. And it reminds me, actually, there is a book of Charles Dickens, The Tale of Two Cities, and he starts the book saying, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And he says what was good and what was bad. He was talking about the French Revolution, of course. And it was a great, incredible change. It was wonderful change. But, humanity was holding on like always. And I think we're going through the same situation now. Maybe fights here and there and everywhere, and we don't have something like this, but it's not less brutal than the revolution was. But from there, many things changed. The ideas, better for everyone. And I think we are going through those moments now, these difficulties, and we see horrendous things. But I personally, I'm very optimist, because I think that there are more good people, there are more good things on this earth than bad ones. I think the problem is that the good, they keep quiet. And ones who do the bad things, they are very loud. And I think as well, quite a lot of people who are in a part of goodness and everything, sometimes they don't say anything, they watch. And I think this is a time as well that we cannot sit on the fence anymore. We're going to have to choose which side we go for, which side we follow. And we see very much, um, quite a lot of differences in opinions and things like that. But I'm optimistic because we are going forward, whether we like it or not. And
Hmm.
I think there is always an option that God gives us, that if they allow us a free will up to a point, and if we start, continuing the same thing, destroying our lives, destroying everything, it will be a point that something is going to happen. And if we think about the prophetic sermon, in the Gospel of St. Mark, when Jesus said there wouldn't be a stone being standing, I think we are going to this period now, because things have to change. We cannot allow evil to take over the world, and it will not happen. It will not happen. But we who have some knowledge of spirituality, that life continues beyond this physical body, that we have an idea that there are worlds much better than ours, and there are worlds that are worse than ours, like was explained by everyone, Charles and Munir and Elsa, and even yourself made the point. Um, but it's going to be good. When I'm looking forward to my next incarnation, living in a better place than it is now. So I don't know if I replied to your question. That's it. I'm very optimistic with the future, even though sometimes you can become quite despondent. But I think we have the knowledge of Spiritism. We are
Yeah.
blessed with the knowledge that many, many people are not. And the spirits tell us no matter what happens, we will survive. Even if there is a madman, crazy, whatever, destroy the planet, they will not be able to destroy the spirits in it. So, and I don't think the planet will be destroyed. I think it's going to live on and be wonderful, and we'll come back to a better world, don't you think? I know we will come
Yeah,
back into a better. And I think Elsa made a point as well before, because we are building the world we will come back to, isn't it?
yeah.
Exactly.
If I think we said this some episodes ago, like if you want to be in a better world, start doing today, because when you reincarnate, you're gonna see the consequence of what you doing today. So we cannot complain. We cannot complain. So anyone wants to complement what Silva said? That is
I
another.
want you to, yes, make a provocative
Yeah,
point, Stevan. Just
good, good,
for
good.
us to put into a perspective and understand the spiritist basis of that. Imagine that today, the boss, the one in charge of this planet, said, "Okay, from this day onwards, only more evolved spirits will incarnate on Earth. In 100 years, all of us would have gone, and only elevated spirits will be inhabiting the Earth. The Earth would become a paradise, right? But this is not the idea. This is our home. You see, it's not our house, it's our home. We are evolving with the planet. The planet, the conditions that we have here are the conditions that spirits of our level needs, right? And this is our school. It's like taking a primary school. You go to the school and say, from now on, only secondary students will come to this class. What's the point? It's primary school. What are secondary students doing here? They should be somewhere else doing what they've learned, or they are there to learn. And so this is the place for us. And as it's been mentioned before, we as spiritists, we know that individually we make progress. Sometimes slow, sometimes very slow, sometimes very almost imperceptible, but we make a little bit at a time, right? Collectively, because we have these changes, as we mentioned before. Sometimes a group of less evolved spirits join us, so the average goes down a little bit. Sometimes more evolved spirits, it goes up a little bit, as Charles mentioned. You see, we had very decisive moments in the progress of humanity, right? And of course, if at a certain point it's important to take some spirits to another planet to more or less, bring the range of spirits here to be narrower, you see, not that different, we will see some progress. And I think we're working towards that because it is for the benefit of the planet, of ourselves. When I mean the planet is, the planet itself and those spirits here inhabiting this planet. But it is our, in the end of the day, it is our personal efforts that will make the difference. I remember Divaldo Franco, some time ago, he mentioned that spirits told that some spirits who hadn't incarnated for around 7 centuries would start to come and incarnate here They were very hardened, very difficult spirits who had been prevented from coming to allow those who were here, who had already advanced a little bit more, to create, to establish a level of social development, the laws and the moral and everything, so that when they would come, they would create problem, of course, but society was ready for them. And I think what we are seeing now is actually this situation. Okay, but of course, it is a moment where those who have already managed to get some advancement in spiritual terms will have the opportunity to prove they have advanced. And those who are lagging behind will have the opportunity to learn with the environment where they are, with people with more values than they have, with different way of looking to life, and even bringing more spiritualized teaching into the context of their lives. And then there will be a moment, of course, those who are stubborn and haven't managed to learn, even with these opportunity, then okay, you will go to a special class. You can no longer stay with this class because it's not being good for you. The way it is not good for those who are working hard to move forward. So it's a natural moment where there will be a split, right? And then we'll get into this world of regeneration. But having said that, nothing prevents some of these spirits who needed special classes to come back in the future, because it's a personal condition. If I'm already of a level, not me myself, Munir, no, I'm just taking an example of someone who is already of a certain spiritual level more advanced than the average on Earth. That spirit could go to another planet, a more advanced planet, wouldn't need to stay here, right? So then regenerating world will come to that spirit in the next incarnation, no problem. But we are talking about the community here, humanity here, incarnated on this planet.
Thank you, Manir. Good. Thank you. So,
Sorry, actually, there is the point, going to the point that Munir was saying in the book Genesis, in the end of times, they say that at this times there isn't a partial change, a limited um, renew in certain regions, but it or a people or a race, but it's a universal movement of moral progress. So I think is before we used to have parts of the world was extremely advanced. Now it's almost spread out in every country. You have now technology. No matter where you are, they have access to technology, and as like artificial intelligence coming in and different things much more now. Everything is accessible for people. Mobile phones, that we have mobile phones or have more technology and comparable with what they had in 1961 or two, when they sent man into space, and even the moon. We have more technology in our little phones now in our hands than they had then. So everything is progressing and moving, but the moral progress as well, it is moving, and it's a universal change. And I think we're seeing it. And sometimes it's really difficult to cope with some of the demands of some of those spirits who are reincarnating here 700 years. But we ourselves were, probably came also, exiled from other planets to Earth. And there'll be big changes again, because the world will progress whether we like it or not. And if we go with the movement, if we go forward, we'll go. And if we don't, we're just going to be sent back somewhere. And I think one point that I find interesting as well is the fact that being sent maybe to a planet that is less advanced than the Earth is now is not a punishment. Because one of the reasons why is because you're holding back from people moving forward. But then your knowledge, the knowledge of those, will help the ones who are there. in developing and understanding, isn't it? And as Munir said, they can come back. If they make the grade, they'll come back, isn't it? So it's hope for us. No one is lost. Like Jesus said, no one is lost in the field of my Father. So it depends on us entirely.
Can
Yes.
I can I now quickly add something, Stevan?
Sure.
Charles, allow me, please, because Silvia mentioned Genesis, and Munir mentioned as well. So the future, from the Spiritist perspective, therefore requires an inner evolution corresponding to our external progress. That is, one thing is following the others. And I always like to bring Joanna de Angelis here, that she develops precisely this psychological dimension. Throughout her psychological works, she repeatedly turns attention from the transformation of external structures to the transformation of the individual. A peaceful civilization cannot ultimately be constructed by individuals who remain internally governed by fear, resentment, egotism, and the desire for domination. That was Munir said. The preparation, the ones be a better soul, prepare the world to receive this soul that are still in bad situation and needs to evolve. So we are here in a certain way nurturing others' souls this moment that they are still in bad way to treat others or to be treated by themselves. So the dialogue between spirituality and contemporary philosophy is also important. I was remembering talking with Humberto Schubert Coelho. He brought so many good things that he was, in my view, that a almost ignorant person in the field of philosophy, that he was is totally immersed today in the research that he did about philosophy, spirituality, and the other things that are happening in the world. As I think he studied theology as well. But we know Spiritism is not a religion, but we are concerned about is religion guiding people towards their own evolution, evolution towards their own way to think that so can go, or only died and wait for the paradise become again and resurrect. That is a thing that people still some people still thinking about that will be a better world for waiting for us. And Munir pointed it very well. The world is here. The world we evolve. The world evolve as our souls, our human beings, our spirits are evolving as well. That is relevant, very relevant and good to follow these thoughts about philosophy, science, even the artificial intelligence. But artificial intelligence has no compassion. Compassion is a sentiment that is only in our spirit, in our soul. Yeah? But at least we are evolving for sure. Okay, mixed things. Thank you.
Good. Good. So let's move on. Time's fly. Let's go to my friend Charles. Uh, Charles, Leon Denis argued that moral progress, though painfully slow from within history, follows the same inexorable law of evolution governing all spiritual development. How does his framework sustain hope without collapsing into naivety about real moral regression? So, in other words, how to remain uh, with our hope high despite all those things we're basically like, don't turn on the TV. If you turn on the TV, you change your mind.
Yeah, depending on the TV, I mean, bad news are very widespread, widely spread, but good news are less widely spread, but there are good news. We need to filter a little bit what we look and what we listen. Yeah, Leon Denis basically based his statement on a deep understanding of the Spiritist body of knowledge, which encompasses this natural law, which is the law of progress. This law of progress, when we look everywhere, there is progress. Okay, you told you use the word moral regression. So this is something that does not exist. There is no regression. All the human beings, or the souls, if you prefer, or the spirits, they are always either staying stable or progressing, but never regressing. What we have acquired as knowledge, what we have acquired as goodness and so on, we will never ever lose it anymore. When we see some horrible things here on earth, and Leon Denis is explaining this also very well, we may say, okay, how can someone do such thing so awful, terrible things? And unfortunately, the medias are showing this to us very frequently and focusing and turning into cycle and so on. It turns somehow addictive. So there is an explanation. There is, as Munir and Silvia said, we are in a mixture on Earth with spirits which are a little bit more evolved, both intellectually and morally, and others which are a little bit less evolved. We can say it as we have some teacher or people giving example, leading by example, and some others which are students and which discover and work in order to progress. And this mixture is needed in order to allow this. So there are, of course, on the earth some people, some spirits which are incarnated with a very limited level of evolution, both intellectually and morally. This we can see. But it does not mean that they will never ever evolve. At the opposite, they will also evolve through the good examples they see. And sometimes we think this person was good, calm, and so on, and all of a sudden came a crisis or a difficulty or some particular event that may have worsened this person. In fact, the reality is not exactly like this. This person was apparently good, but the real test is when the difficulty comes. And that is then where the real level, the masks are falling down, and the real level of evolution is popping up. So Leon Denis really based his statement that there is no moral regression. And he also made another statement which is quite interesting and linked to the subject of today. He says that the spirits individually are evolving quicker than the average or the societies as a whole. And he is explaining this, I think Munir told it already, and Silvia as well, through this transmigration of spirits. Spirits which are above the average level of the earth can go to a better world. They will arrive in this better world from the bottom, together with spirits which are even more involved than them. But they are already at a level which allows them to this move to be fruitful. But on another hand, there are also spirits which come to Earth from a planet which is less evolved than Earth. And this is then explaining why when this feed is continuing from the bottom, let's say so, the average society is evolving slower than the spirits as individuals. So that is another statement. Nevertheless, what Kardec was writing in the Time Has Come, Silvia has already mentioned this last chapter of the last book he wrote, which is the Genesis, is that this movement should revert at a certain point in time. And as it has been told, some spirits will not, it will not be fruitful for them anymore to reincarnate on Earth. And they may reincarnate in a planet, on a planet, where the level of evolution is what it was on Earth 10,000 years ago, or something like this. So they will bring knowledge, technologies, they will bring, goodness, religious beliefs, and things like this, in order to help the inhabitants of those planets also to progress. But who is then controlling these movements in and out? These are the governors of the planet. Huh? And somehow, okay, they know what they are doing. I'm sometimes a little bit impatient, how long this has to continue. People which are very unstable, let's say so, have a button in front of them that they can harm very severely the world, or may such that the humanity can disappear from the world. These are the, how to say, worst case scenario. Huh? But okay, they are here, they know what they are doing, and we have to stay optimistic, because first, that it will not happen, and second, that even if this should happen, it will destroy the human being, our body, but not our soul. And our soul will then have still the opportunity to continue his progress on some other planets. Okay. And this is also a statement of Leon Denis, that the societies as a whole are only reflecting the sum of the individuals which are composing this society. So you can have laws, you can have whatever you want. If you have selfish and pride individuals, the society will be selfish and pride. If you have good individuals, if we as individuals do whatever is necessary to become better persons, then we don't need all these laws and whatever anymore, because the society will also reflect the individual composing them. So this comes back again to the statement that if we want to change the world, the best and quickest way is to work on changing ourselves.
Stevan,
Thank you.
if,
Yes.
if you don't mind, I just want to add to what Charles said. That Leon Denis also mentioned the time scale. I mean, we want things done by tomorrow, see? And it doesn't work that way. The time scale we are used to, and the time scale that these movements they happen are completely different. There is a physical phenomenon that explains that on a physical level that very well, is the precession of the equinox. The axis of the Earth in 13,000 years will be opposite to what it is today. What it means, you guys will be experiencing winter, we'll be in midwinter, and we in the southern hemisphere will be in midsummer, right? So every 13,000 years, we have it's a constant movement. We don't perceive that, we don't notice that, but it's happening. If we are here in 13,000 years, we'll be talking, you guys will be wearing heavy coats, some be wearing t-shirts, you know, uh, planning a weekend on the beach. Uh, so what Denis also mentioned is the time scale. This process is not by tomorrow. Oh, I've spent 10 years and I only see things going backwards, apparently. Well, it's nothing. Nothing compared to the time scale for these events actually to happen. It has to be solid. It has to be true. As Charles mentioned, we don't know ourselves. What we see of ourselves is very, very small compared to what we really are. We have compartments in us that we are not aware of. It's like a door locked. We don't dare look inside, cleaning it, or it's there and needs, it needs some work done today, tomorrow, in the future. So when we talk about evolving, progressing, a world of regeneration, it requires that we open all these doors towards it, and do the cleaning that is necessary inside us, right? So if everyone does, his or her part in this, then we will get there, faster than we imagine.
Wonderful.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect.
Wow.
This is wonderful. I think we do have some comments here. So yeah, from Vich Dam, the future of humanity is more connected to the good or to the bad side of a human being. I like the question. So Munir, since you're our guest, can you take it?
I can say that there won't be sides because you know, we'll be in the future cultivating virtues, goods. Good will be part of us. Perhaps today we have to make the effort to be charitable, to tolerate people, those who are aware of these needs. They make the effort because it's not natural in them. But there will be the day when these things will be natural. You see, we will have an understanding for people's problems, their difficulties, their imperfections naturally, not that it's forced. Oh God, I have to do that because otherwise God will punish me, or otherwise I'll go to a primitive world, or always fearing something, or so, it's a natural question. I don't see as a side. I see as like, a scale, a balance, right? With two plates. The plate of good will be heavier than the one with evil in a world of regeneration. At least they will be leveled, you see.
Hmm.
Not as it is today, where evil still, is heavier than good. But this is the result of a collective effort towards practicing good. Not that, oh, I'm on this side now, or I'm on that side now. No, it is, a natural progress that I make, cultivating virtues and breeding myself from imperfections.
Just a very quick point as well,
Yeah.
from what you're saying, because in Genesis, they also says that as we develop technologically and materially, intellectually, this very motion will will force us somehow, because then we feel that something is lacking, and we're going to work in a moral side, so we can progress morally as well. The more we advance, we evolve, we're going to be easier, isn't it? Because I think there's something that John D. Angeli said, that we are at the threshold. It's hard once you get to that point to be easier, because we will feel the need to be better, to be more tolerant, more loving, more caring for each other. So it's just part of the process, isn't it? There is no side, that is not right or wrong, that is what we do to be better. And as they say here, that the new generation will be freed from the past, from the difficulties of the past, and they will want something more, something purer. And I think eventually all of us will be part of that. And also our planet will evolve as well, because as humanity evolves, the planet evolves.
Yeah.
And Jung had this quote saying that mankind does not grow in one block, but they are individuals within humanity that progress, and the strength of the unconscious carry others with them. And I think that's how, actually, is very similar to what the spirits teach us. There'll be individuals that grow and they take others with them. So, and the planet as well.
Yeah. So, okay, this is great. Let me see. No more question. And we need to go to our announcements. Let me loading here. Okay. It's not loading. Okay, our announcements. So, the topic for next year, I give you later on, but we have. Oh, this is already gone. It wasn't made. Right. So we have from 28th of August to 30th of August the fourth International Spiritist Congress Joana de Angeles in Portugal, in Fatima. Beautiful place, beautiful venue. So the topic of this year is overcoming the pains of the soul, the path to mental health. Is a wonderful topic.
I'll
Uh,
be there. I'll be there.
so we say you have the opportunity to meet Silvia in person as well. From
Yeah, and do
18
some
to
work.
good. So from 18 to 20th of September, we have in Vegemont in Belgium the ninth European Spiritist Gathering. To enroll, you need to go to www.spiritism.be. www.spiritism with e.be.
Still have places available.
Yes, yes, we do have some places available, and it is during the weekend. And it is a very good venue in which you have the meal, you have where to sleep, so don't need to book a hotel, don't need to think about logistics because everything is in the same place.
Mhm.
Every Saturday from 10:30 a.m., Munir, Charles, and Guilherme they run the Mediums Book online study group. Everybody is more than welcome. Just scan the QR code and you have all the details you need. Our friend Munir, he runs the Genesis book study every Wednesday at noon UK time. And also, our dear friend Elsa will be in Ireland on the 30th of August. And the topic is Reflection in the Light of Allan Kardec's Works. So, wonderful topic. Keen to see Elsa here in Ireland. We are waiting for her because we are celebrating the 20th year of Spiritism in Ireland. So it is a huge mark for us, and celebrating with Elsa along with us, it is crucial. Like Charles, like Silvia, all of them were part of the Spiritist movement here in Ireland.
Stevan, one
Yes.
correction before carry on, please, because the slide of Vegemont is spirit.be. Charles just
Uh,
pointed here, so we will change for next week. The right one is here in the
okay. So
screen.
spirity with e at the end. .be.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So keep reading. The Spiritist magazine is free of charge, always with wonderful articles, and it's for free. So just go to spiritismagazine.org and you have access to all magazines. So we couldn't finish or doing it without the support from Buzz, from Cardiac Radio, from Life Spiritist Society, from Francophone Spiritist Movement, and Irish Spiritist Federation. So thank you all for supporting us and giving us all this knowledge throughout all these years we are here together. That's it. So thank you all for your time. Munir, thank you so much for your availability. Enjoy the the heat wave in Brazil, and we are keeping here in our heat wave in Europe with no rain, very dry. So let's see what we're preparing for our future. Let's see how we manage this. I want to return in a very more calm, peaceful environment, please. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone. Have a nice day. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you. See you
God bless.
next week. God bless you all.